Hello everyone and welcome back to Study with Azaria. Today we're going to be looking at everything you need to know about fractions. Feel free to take some notes as there will be quite a bit of information coming at you, and simply enjoy. As usual, we have our brain teaser of the day. Feel free to pause or have a go at it later. I will say though, this one's a bit trickier than usual, just to heighten up some difficulty. So before we start, we need to ask ourselves the question, what is a fraction? So a fraction basically represents parts of a whole. So let's think of it like a pizza. Let's say we have a whole pizza, nothing's been taken out of it. If you take a piece out of that pizza, you're taking a fraction of the pizza away. So it's when something is broken up into different parts and the fraction shows you how many of the parts you have. So we're going to use a few picture examples to help us visualize what fractions actually look like. So let's have a look at this circle. We call this one whole because it hasn't been split into any different pieces, nothing's been taken away, and it's all together. Now the next circle, we call it one half. If you think about it, if you've ever shared food with anyone and you have to share it between two people, you put it into two different pieces, so you've halved it. There's been two pieces and you've taken one of the halves. Now we have something called a third. A third is basically when you split it into three pieces and you've taken one of those pieces. And finally, we have 1/4. A quarter is when something's been split into four pieces and you've taken one of those pieces. So it's really important that you know all of these names: a whole, a half, a third, a quarter. So feel free to pause or rewind the video just to make sure you understand everything that you've just learnt. So now we're going to look at parts of a fraction. It's important for us to know what parts of the fraction are because when it comes to adding, subtracting, dividing and multiplying fractions and in word problems, we will find it really important. So the first part of a fraction, the top number, is called a numerator. The numerator tells you how many parts you have. So let's say there is 5 parts of a pizza. If you've taken one of those slices of the pizza, the numerator of your fraction will be 1, like it is in this example. Now the bottom number is called the denominator, and how I think to kind of remember which one's which, denominator starts with a D, and maybe you could think that D is for down, so at the bottom. So the denominator is how many parts the object or the thing is split into. As I said with pizza, let's say you have a pizza and you've put it into 2 different slices, like very huge slices. The denominator will be 2, and let's say you've taken one of those pieces, the numerator will be 1. And if you know, 1/2 is yes, I hope you said half. So to just go over what we've learnt, let's say we have the fraction 3/8, also known as 3/8. The denominator, the bottom number of the fraction, tells us that the thing or the object has been split into 8 different parts / pieces. Let's say it's 8 different slices of pizza, just for example, and the numerator is 3, so that tells us you or I have taken 3 of those slices from the 8 in the pizza. Again, to test our knowledge, it's quite often and quite common you'll see that a question may ask you to shade in the fraction. So they'll give you a fraction, they'll give you maybe squares or a circle cut into the amount of pieces for you to shade in the fraction. So for this example, we have the fraction 2/5 and we have the circle next to the 2/5. First, you want to count how many sections / pieces that the circle has been cut into, and we can see that there are 5 parts, which matches the denominator of our fraction. So that is a good sign for the first part. Now we need to see how much we need to shade in. So the numerator, the top number of the fraction, is 2. So that simply tells us we need to shade in two of the sections in the circle. And that could be any random 2 sections. It could be the ones across from each other, together, anywhere, but just make sure you shading 2. Now let's take the example 3/4, which is also known as 3/4. So as we can see, we've got the circle next to it and it's been cut into 4 different parts. which again matches the number in the denominator, the bottom number. So now we just need to shade in how many of those parts are for us. And as we can see, it's 3/4, so we need to shade in 3. Again, as we said, you can shade in any of those parts, just make sure it's 3 and only 3. Finally, we're going to look at the 3 different types of fractions. This is important as later on we will be learning how to switch between the different types. So the first type is what is called proper fractions. These are the typical fractions, the kind of normal fractions that you'll see in a question, where if you look at the fractions on the screen, the numerator is smaller than the denominator, and that is a proper fraction. Now we have the second type of fraction, which is pretty much the opposite of the first, including their names. So first we had the proper fraction, and now we have the improper fraction. Improper fractions are fractions where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. And with the final type, we have mixed fractions. Mixed fractions are fractions where they have a whole number part and a fractional part. So to round up everything that we've learnt today, we have a mini quiz of 3 questions just to summarise everything that we've learnt. Pause the video now to have a go and answer the questions and come back when you've done them. Good luck! I hope you're back from pausing the video. The answers are now going to be shown on the screen. Don't worry if you didn't get them all right, there's always plenty of time to practice. And finally, here is the brain teaser explained. So the first bit, the example was if newspaper equals to 28 and paper equals to 16, then news equals to 12. So first you have to realise how we got the 12 in the first place. This is a little play on letter values, which basically means that a letter or a group of letters / a word could amount to a certain number. So the reason why news equals to 12 is because newspaper is made of news, the word news and paper. So if you're able to take 16 from 28, you get 12, meaning news equals to 12. So you repeat that process with pretty much more of the words provided for the value of chariot. So we see chair and air. The word air is in chair, so you just subtract the letter values from each other and you get 13, and that gives you the C and the H in chariot. So for this brain teaser, I think there are 2 or 3 ways to solve this, but this is the way that I continue to find more of the letter values. So for the rest of chariot, we've figured out what the values for the C and the H are, which is 13. To find the next part or the next letters, I focused on finding the A and the R. So if you look at the word port and the word parrot, you cross off the letters that they have in common, you find that A and R equal to 19. So now you only have the word riot at the end of chariot to find out. And if you look carefully and you see the relationships between the words and the remaining letters in the word chariot, you'll see that riot, put the letters in different positions, makes the word trio. So instantly we don't have to do much work to find the rest of it, and the last letter values of riot is 19. So to find out the value of chariot, by adding all of those values up together, you get 51, because those are all of the values for all of the letters. So if you got this brain teaser, very well done. Comment down below if you did, and I hope you enjoy these. So thank you if you got to the very end of this video. Please like, share, subscribe and comment down below, if the comments are open, what you'd like to see next. Don't forget to turn off that notification bell to see when I next upload, and thank you.